It is Friday, and as the month of February continues to make her exit, spring football, spring practice moving closer, drawing closer upon us. The first day of spring ball scheduled for March 19th. Really happy to see what will take place for the Crimson Tide. But as of right now, because we're focused on right now, you're rocking and rolling on the hottest show on the streets, the #1 forum for Bama football news. In my own words, with your conductor of the conversation, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, coming to you from the magic city of Birmingham. Really excited to have everybody tuned in tonight on the show as we are bringing you the show through YouTube. Speaking of a channel, you go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, like the show, hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on so that way we can get you caught up on all the action that is Alabama football. We're not only bringing this to you through YouTube, but all forms of social media, Facebook and Twitter. We got you covered. No excuse for you not to be locked in to the #1 ticket when we're talking your Crimson Tide. The show brought to you by WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. That is WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com. If you haven't done so, I encourage you to go there right now. Copy that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, showing that support to Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and the pageantry, the tradition of dominating and or owning the fourth quarter. Gotta shout my man John Ivory out in the building, in the production studio, doing his thing. We're ready to rock and roll here with you on a Friday. Got a great show prepared here. We relive 2nd and 26. Be that today is February, second month of the year, the date being the 26th. And though this event happened on January 8th, 2018, is 2nd and 26 to play the greatest play in Alabama football history. I'll go into my top 5 plays, but I feel like of a top 5 in Alabama football history. We will get your thoughts as well as the fan base. Also, Bill O'Brien already doing work on the recruiting trail. The Crimson Tide got a verbal commitment from five-star Ty Simpson at quarterback for the 2022 class. The man from the state of Tennessee. We're going to have a chance to talk with our own Justin Smith a little bit later on the show, the scouting and recruiting analyst for TDA, the man on the ground. What does this mean for Alabama? What does this mean for Bama's quarterback room, having one Ty Simpson in here? And of course, we get a chance to hear from you, the passionate Alabama football fans, by dialing 205-448-1358. That is the number for you to make yourself known, for you to let your opinion be heard on the show. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you. We got the daily super chat goal, $75 daily super chat goal. You guys have been phenomenal helping us out here at TDA, and we already got a couple of super chats to start today's show. I mean, look at you guys. Spencer Reveley starting us off with that $5 donation. Appreciating the love there from Spencer. And then how about Roll Tide and Rise Up, throwing in that $25 donation, starting us out the gate with $30 of that $75 super chat. A daily super chat go there. Appreciate you guys already starting us off there on a hot note. A little bit of an update here. Malachi has chosen his transfer school. The former Alabama linebacker is now back in the Pac-12. He has committed to the University of Utah, the Utes. So the Utes get the commitment and the services of one Brandon Malachi. Wish him the best. Wish him well. Hopefully he can be a big-time star in this new program for the at the University of Utah in the Pac-12. But begin now. Topic number 1 of the conversation, reliving the glorious play that was 2nd and 26. It happened 3 years ago, January 8th, 2018. We know the setting. It took place Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Alabama, Georgia. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Jalen Hurts struggled in the first half. Alabama couldn't get anything going offensively. Defensively, it was hanging in there, though Georgia was making some plays and big plays I must say, the game goes into halftime. Georgia has a 13-0 lead, and Coach Saban has a gigantic decision to make. Though he loves Jalen, though he valued Jalen, though he appreciated Jalen, though Hurts got the team into the title game, Nick Saban had to make a critical decision because its offense, it needed some firepower. It needed something different. It needed some juice. It needed some life on that side of the football. And Coach Saban made the move to go to the true freshman then, Tua Tagovailoa, to start the second half. And the trio of freshman receivers, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs III, Devontae Smith, all three guys were geeked up. They were ready. They were excited. They were prepared to go, and we all know what happened. Tua hooked up with Henry Ruggs for the first touchdown. Then he hooked up with Calvin Ridley in the end zone for a touchdown. And then, Andy Papanastis could have won the game in the fourth quarter. All he has to do is make a 36-yard field goal. Come on, Andy Papa Johns. Couldn't make the 36-yard field goal. Pushed it to the left. We go into overtime. Rodrigo Blankenship makes a 51-yarder for Georgia. It was 23-20. It was Alabama's turn in overtime, and Tua, the freshman mistake, took a bad sack. No! Took the bad sack. Nick Saban comes unglued on the sideline, but little did he know he was about to be on a 180-degree roller coaster as he goes from upset to absolutely jubilant, sheer joy. Tua Tagovailoa finds Devontae Smith along the sidelines for a 41-yard game-winning touchdown. Saban throws the headset up in the air, runs on the field, calls it the happiest moment of his life. There's a dog pile on Devontae Smith in the end zone. Coach Saban getting that 6th national championship overall in his career to tie him with one Paul Bear Bryant. But as great as that moment was, and that moment was iconic, it was epic, it was historic. You had two freshmen in Tua and Smitty that jumped themselves into the hearts of the Alabama fans everywhere. When you look at the magnitude of that moment, you snatch victory from defeat, you take a championship away from Kirby Smart. Is this the greatest play? Is 2nd and 26 the greatest play in the history of Alabama football? Right now, I'm going to go into my top 5. I'm about to rank my top 5 moments all time, greatest plays for the Crimson Tide. And for me, these plays, they go off of importance, they go off of significance, they go off of value. These plays are kind of those seismograph moments of where were you when this play happened? Like, where were you in relation to this particular play happening? So at number 5 for me, it would go 2012 Alabama LSU, TJ Yeldon, 28-yard, make a man miss, screen pass for a touchdown. Bama got the 21-17 victory in that matchup there. Alabama was up 14-3 for the most part, and then in that game, LSU gets 2 touchdown drives in there, including the touchdown pass from Zach Mettenberger to Jarvis Landry. The Tigers had a 17-14 advantage. Alabama got the ball back with a minute 28 to go in that game, or minute 47. It was a little bit over a minute to go in the game. Bama had the ball on its own 28-yard line, had to go 72 yards down the field to take the lead. And Coach Saban put the ball in the hands of A.J. McCarron and said, young man, go win the game for us. A.J. took the team on a 5-play drive. 3 of those plays were completions to Kevin Norwood, which sets up the screen pass. Great call from Dougie Nussmeier. Doug Nussmeier dials up the screen pass, gets it to TJ Yeldon. Yeldon able to follow his blockers, made a defender miss, ran 28 yards into the end zone, silenced the Tiger crowd in Death Valley, Tiger Stadium, Baton Rouge. Bama fans went crazy. The Bama players on the sideline went crazy. Alabama getting the 21-17 win. A.J. McCarron emotional, and Alabama was able to take that game, take that play, and ride that momentum into the SEC championship game where it defeated Georgia, and the national championship game where it defeated Notre Dame, getting back-to-back titles, 2011 and 2012, but that was number 5 for me, the TJ Yeldon screen pass. Going on down here to number 4, this was iconic. I mean, this was cooler than the other side of the pillow. George Teague stripping Lamar Thomas of Miami in the 1993 Sugar Bowl game to win the national championship, culminating the 1992 season. Miami Hurricanes were talking so much trash in that game. They were acting like, we gonna beat Bama, we gonna beat Bama. Bama can't hang with us, Bama can't ride with us, Bama don't got the guys that we got. And it was a defensive performance for the Crimson Tide, the group or the duo of Eric Copeland and John Copeland and Eric Curry, excuse me. So Copeland and Curry sacked Gino Torretta, had him seeing stars all night long. Miami had 4 turnovers there in that game, including 3 interceptions. George Teague took a pick back for a touchdown, but his biggest play of the game was Torretta hits Lamar Thomas on a like post-fade type of play. Thomas makes the catch, and he is on his way to the end zone. This is a dude that was not only a football player, but a track and field athlete as well. So fastest guy on the field was Lamar Thomas. Nobody thinks Teague is going to catch Thomas. Nobody believes anybody would catch Thomas. He is on his horse, on his way to the end zone, but all of a sudden, George Teague hits another gear, runs Lamar Thomas down, takes the ball away from him, as Keith Jackson's famous call, Teague took the ball away from him. Teague's got the ball, and they tackle Teague back at the 12. Like, Lamar Thomas gets ran down by George Teague, has the ball stripped away from him. Teague goes the other way. Of course, the play does not stand because of a penalty flag on the field, but that effort by Teague, took all of the air, took all of the swagger away from Miami. Bama wins the game 34-13 to capture its first national title since Bear Bryant. Moving on down here to number 3, the field goal heard across the world by Van Tiffin in the 1985 Iron Bowl. Crimson Tide getting the 25-23 win. It was a 52-yarder by Van Tiffin. Now, he missed a 52-yarder early in the game. He made the last one into the win. It was a huge drive by Mike Shula at quarterback, an 80-yard drive to get Tiffin in position. The drive where Shula hits Gene Jelks with the pass. He hit Greg Richardson Jr. with the pass. Al Bell had the little end-around reverse where Shula threw an amazing block to spring Bell down the field, and it set up Van Tiffin 52 yards into the win. Bam! Made the field goal. Crimson Tide 25-23 to beat the Auburn Tigers in that matchup. Going on down for number 2 for me, Rocky Block. Terrence Cody getting his hands on 2 Daniel Lincoln field goals in the 2009 matchup between Alabama and the Volunteers. Crimson Tide winning that matchup 12-10. Offensively, Bama had struggled all game. The 2 games prior to that, Greg McElroy struggled in the passing game. Alabama put Mark Ingram in the Wildcat. Had to do that against Ole Miss and South Carolina. It worked in both of those 2 matchups, but against Tennessee, Bama tired, beat up, beat down, had some injuries that week, and thank goodness for Lee Tiffin, made 4 field goals in the game, and thank goodness for Terrence Cody getting his big paw on 2 Daniel Lincoln field goals. Alabama rolled that momentum into the SEC championship game where it beat Florida and it beat Texas in the national title, capturing its first title since the 1992 season. And then last but not least for me, 2nd and 26, Smitty to Tua, number 1 for me. Just due to, once again, the magnitude of the game, right? Georgia was up 13-0 at half. There were more Georgia fans at Mercedes-Benz Stadium than Bama fans. People really felt like Kirby was going to snatch it from Coach Saban. People felt like Kirby Smart was going to have the ability to hold on to the momentum and win his first national championship as head coach of the Georgia Bulldogs. But Nick Saban had another plan. He had another trick up his sleeve going into halftime. Appreciated what Jalen Hurts did, but wanted to provide some juice, some energy. Goes to Tua Tagovailoa. Tua, in the second half, put on a show. 3 touchdown passes, including the game winner to Smitty, 41 yards. Nick Saban, the roller coaster of emotions, but Bama getting the win, 26-23 in overtime. Coach Saban there winning the national championship, his 6th, tying him with one Paul Bear Bryant. But we take our first break on the show. Don't touch that dial, just getting started. Upon our return, we go on the phone lines where we entertain your phone calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your chats, your ideas. Is 2nd and 26 the greatest play in Alabama history to you? We have a dialogue with you, the fans, after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, folks, we are back into the action from the break on the number 1 ticket for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show. And we go to the phone lines right now to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358, 205-448-1358. And our first call is coming from my man, Waylon. Waylon, it's good to have you back, brother. How you feeling?
Stephen M. Smith, John Ivory, I'm feeling good tonight. I'm styling and profiling, wheeling, dealing, kid stealing, son of a gun. I'll tell you what, it's 2nd 26. Oh, Lord, have mercy. I've done broke out in the sweat. Get me in front of the pew and in the congregation. I'm ready to do some preaching tonight. Talk to me, Stephen.
I mean, today, Waylon, with today being 2nd month of the year, 26th day. I mean, people have been posting all day about the play. Tua to Smitty, true freshman to beat Georgia on January 8th, 2018. So people are reliving this day. People are thinking about how iconic, how epic that play was. But the thought for the fans out there is, as great as 2nd and 26 was, and it was magnificent, is this the greatest play to you as fans in the history of Bama football? Is it the greatest play to you, Waylon?
Well, I thought about my buddy today, Tim Barnett. It was a center on the offensive line in 1992, and we was down in New Orleans. So I got to go back when George Teague walked right up there and ripped that ball out. I don't know how it gets no better than that, son. That's called you have just got curb stomped. Boom, it's over right there. It was over, baby. It was over.
I mean, that game right there, Waylon, was incredible because people were talking so much about Gino Torretta, but Curry and Copeland had him on his butt the whole game. Bama forced, 3 interceptions, one by George Teague, but you thought Lamar Thomas was gone. All of a sudden, here comes a bullet with number 13 on his back, rips the ball away from Thomas. I know the play didn't stand, but But I'm like, man, that just took all the swag from the Canes. Lamar Thomas got pickpocketed.
He got slipped. Felt like he was down in New Orleans when he got on the side street. Somebody slipped their hand down in his pocket. But anyway, I know there's a lot to talk about tonight. I appreciate everybody for all the messages, calls, Facebook, and I hear all the cities, towns, countries, and states, everybody in the chat. TDA loves everyone. I appreciate everybody. Got one knee replaced, going to work on the other one in April. When I get the other one ready, I'll be ready to go back in the ring. We got the form ready tonight. We're going to get out of here. We're going to end it like this. We wrote this, and after Muhammad Ali probably was one of the biggest guys that ever influenced me in writing poems. I never saw a man that could roll off words off his tongue without writing it down and rhyming it like Ali was. He was the greatest. So I'm going to dedicate this one to him, and we're going to let it go like this. Last night I had one hell of a dream. When I got to TDA, I had one hell of a rumble. I had to beat Senator and Uncle Charles for the king of the jungle. For this fight, I've wrestled with alligators. I've tussled with a whale. I've handcuffed lightning, and I put down thunder in jail. You know I'm bad. I've murdered a rock. I've injured a stone, and I hospitalized a brick. I'm so bad I made modern medicine sick. I'm so fast I can run through a hurricane and don't get wet. When Stephen M. Smith meets me, he'll pay his debt. I can drown a drink of water. I can kill a dead tree. Ain't nobody on TDA no better than me. Everybody, I love you. Have a safe weekend. I'm out of here.
Appreciate the poem there from Waylon in his Muhammad Ali spirit there. Love it, Waylon. Love it, love it, love it. Our own Waylon Colburn back in the call line, starting us off here on a Friday here on the show. As you continue to get your thoughts in, 205-448-1358. That is the number to call in, 205-448-1358. We actually did a poll on the TDA YouTube site on yesterday. The poll was, as we await for what Bill O'Brien does as offensive coordinator, as we wait to see what O'Brien does on the field, as of right now, who is the greatest assistant coach of the Saban era? And in the poll, we had Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart, and Jeremy Pruitt. Those four right there were in the poll. Greatest assistant coach of the Nick Saban era. And about 2.7 thousand of you interacted with the poll. Now, Sarkisian won the poll with 70% of the vote, but in terms of just the interactions in the comment section, so many of you were talking about, well, Pruitt should be the guy. Well, Kirby Smart should be the guy. Well, Kiffin did give the Bama offense a facelift, so Kiffin should be the guy. Well, Burton Burns did help our running backs win the Heisman, so Burton Burns should be the guy. Well, where is Pete Golden in all of this? And I'm like, hold on, y'all. Pete Golden, give Pete Golden a minute now. He has not crossed this type of a threshold just yet. But for you, as the Alabama football fan base, which assistant coach is the greatest of the Nick Saban era, as we await to see what Bill O'Brien does as the new offensive coordinator? Who's the best assistant coach of the Saban era when you discuss Sarkisian, Kiffin, Pruitt, and Sarkisian, Kiffin, Pruitt, and Kirby Smart? So be sure to leave your thoughts there in the chat line when you discuss the greatest assistant coach of the Nick Saban era. We take a break right now, but upon our return, we will sit down with our own Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst, the man when it comes to recruiting for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, to talk one Ty Simpson, as Bama has brought in a 5-star recruit commitment at quarterback. We'll talk to Justin after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we're rocking and rolling here from the break of the number one forum for all things Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, on a Friday TGIF edition of the show, reliving 2nd and 26, as it is the second month of the year and the 26th day of this month. But we go now virtually to the In My Own Words hotline, where we pick up Justin Smith, the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the man on the ground, the legend, scouting out, analyzing all of these young athletes coming to the Crimson Tide. Justin, my man, happy to have you in here, man. How you feeling?
Pretty good, Stephen.
Happy to have Justin in here virtually on the phone lines right now. So, Justin, Crimson Tide, big news happened today. Ty Simpson from Tennessee, 5-star quarterback in the 2022 class, has just given his verbal commitment here to the Crimson Tide. This is big for Bill O'Brien. This is his first big guy on the recruiting trail. O'Brien gets Simpson to give a verbal yes to Alabama. How, when you break down Simpson's tape, what stands out? What do you like about him? Talk to me about Ty Simpson.
Multiple things stand out. Of course, how exciting he is to watch. You are talking about a kid who is really comfortable when things break down, and he is able to use his feet to get out of trouble and deliver some great passes down the field. I think he has a great touch on this deep ball. Just a kid who knows how to get the ball into tight situations. I definitely like his ball placement. I also like the way that he hits the out route. I think he does that pretty effectively. The biggest question I have about his game is his deep ball, in terms of it being a bit short at times. I noticed that he does not have the strongest of arms, but he is still an exciting player to watch. He's listed as a 5-star quarterback on Touchdown Alabama's own independent recruiting rankings because of the angles that he is able to throw the football in. His ability to just run with the football in his hands and throw the football on the run is pretty impressive. You see him throwing the football from so many different angles, which is something I compare his game to Patrick Mahomes in a way. When you look at a kid who can just throw the ball from so many different angles, from so many different situations. So that's why I feel he is a 5-star quarterback. But we do have a diamond rating at touchdownalabama.com. For him to get that diamond rating, I think he would definitely have to show me a little bit more when it comes to his deep ball. But this is another huge pickup for the Crimson Tide in the 2022 recruiting class. Nick Saban is always striving to add at least one quarterback in each recruiting class. Ty Simpson is a great pickup for the Tide, a huge win for Bill O'Brien. And it's great to have your quarterback in your recruiting class at this point early on, because it is going to be easier to recruit running backs and wide receivers with Ty Simpson in your 2022 recruiting class already.
Now, one thing that we both talked about before coming on here, Justin, is you brought up the name Patrick Mahomes, but also we both talked about this young man's game kind of also reminds us a little bit of Johnny Manziel, in the sense of him being able to run around, extend plays, kind of like playing backyard football and just throwing the ball up, allowing his guys to make plays there on the outside or make plays down the field in space. Do you see more Johnny Manziel than Patrick Mahomes in Ty Simpson's game, or is it a clean mixture of both? Because we both have mentioned that he does kind of favor Manziel also.
Definitely have some similarities to Manziel, like we talked about when we just watch him play. It almost looks as if he is attempting to do that play that Johnny did against Alabama when he defeated Alabama in Tuscaloosa. It looks as if he's trying
Justin,
to do that.
Why you got to bring that thing up in my face right now?
It looks like he's trying to do that spin move and make a great play, and he does plays that are very similar to that play. So I definitely see some Johnny Manziel in Ty Simpson. But as I said, I just really see a little bit of Patrick Mahomes in terms of the ability to just throw the ball from different angles. There's a play in his junior highlight film where he is doing a play that is very similar to what Patrick Mahomes did in the Super Bowl when he was basically throwing the football when it looks as if he was throwing it off the ground. If you take a look at that play from Ty Simpson's junior highlight, you can see that he's going to the ground and he basically just flicks the football up in the air. And I think that is something that is really impressive about Ty Simpson as well.
If you are just tuning into the show on a Friday, we have virtually the scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, our own Justin Smith here on the line talking one Ty Simpson, the five-star quarterback from the state of Tennessee that Alabama got a verbal commitment of yes from for the 2022 recruiting class. Now, Justin, so where does Ty, given the fact if Ty does sign, if Simpson does sign in the 2022 class, given what's already on the roster with Bryce Young, Paul Tyson, and Jalen Milroe, how does Simpson fit in this loaded quarterback room that's going to be operated by Bill O'Brien? How does he fit here?
He fits right in, and it just shows how difficult and just how difficult in general it will be for these guys to get on the field. The Crimson Tide likes to load guys up at every position, and the quarterback looks to be no different at this point in time. I know a lot of people used to say that Alabama has a lot of game managers, but I don't think you're going to be able to say that in the future. Looking at Ty Simpson, Jalen Milroe, and Bryce Young, and Paul Tyson is also a guy you have to pay attention to as well. So I definitely think it is going to be quite interesting to see how Alabama's quarterback room plays out in the future with all three of those guys who are expected to be on the Ty's roster as scholarship quarterbacks coming into next season, possibly being there. But when Ty Simpson officially enrolls at the University of Alabama, like I said on the process on yesterday before Ty Simpson committed to Alabama, he's going to have to fight. Nothing is going to be given to him, Jalen Milroe or Bryce Young. The job is going to go to the best guy, and it's just going to be interesting with all of that talent in that loaded quarterback room, as you said.
Now, Justin, in your opinion here, because you've been doing this for quite some time here, so in your opinion, what has made Alabama attractive now to quarterbacks? Because as you said, there was at one point in time Alabama was getting the five-star running backs, getting the five-star receivers, getting the five-star offensive linemen and defensive players, and they're still getting those guys. But there was once a time where getting that five-star quarterback, getting that attractive quarterback was so far out of Alabama's reach. But what has made Tuscaloosa now an attractive place where the quarterbacks are coming to?
It's a result of what Nick Saban has done with the Crimson Tide's offense, wanting to change it to adapt to the way that college football and football in general is played in today's game. Everyone wants to throw the football around. Nick Saban knew he had to adjust and adapt if the Alabama dynasty wanted to continue. And he has done a great job of getting the right offensive coordinators in Tuscaloosa. Looking at Steve Sarkisian, you saw him did it a couple of years before that when he brought in Lane Kiffin, but now it looks as if he's going to try to continue to do that in Tuscaloosa by bringing Bill O'Brien in as the Tide's new offensive coordinator. And just looking at what the Crimson Tide has done, not even last year, but over the last couple of years, even when Tua Tagovailoa was there, they throw the football all over the football field. And whenever I get an opportunity to talk with a guy who has an offer from the University of Alabama, they always talk about, especially wide receivers, they always talk about how explosive that offense is, how everyone gets an opportunity, how you get a chance to play all over the field, inside and outside. For example, the number one wide receiver in the 2023 recruiting class, and Brandon Ennis, received an offer from the Tide last week, and he just could see himself in the Crimson Tide's offense, saying exactly the way that they use their wide receivers. Said he likes to play slot. He likes to play outside. He says that he sees Alabama wide receivers do that every Saturday. That's why he feels he will fit right in Tuscaloosa. So this is just a result of what Nick Saban has been able to do.
When you look at now Bill O'Brien here, Justin, how big of a move is this for Coach O'Brien? He comes in replacing Steve Sarkisian, who operated the best offense not only in the Nick Saban era, but the best offense in the SEC this past season, a record of averaging 48.5 points per game. You replace Sarkisian with O'Brien. O'Brien already on the recruiting trail. He gets a 5-star guy in Ty Simpson to commit for the 2022 class. How much momentum does this start for Bill O'Brien as he looks to prove to not only the coaching staff and the players, but also this fan base that he can recruit here?
This is big for him. Of course, he helped the Tide also get a verbal commitment from him at this point, and 4-star tight end Elijah Brown. So when you look at Bill O'Brien, he is kind of on a roll on the recruiting trail for the Crimson Tide. But I think having Ty Simpson's commitment is huge because this is going to help them recruit wide receivers, help them recruit the state of Tennessee, I think, because unlike other years, the state of Tennessee is loaded in this 2022 recruiting class, and you have a verbal commitment from the top player in Ty Simpson. You now can go after players like Baron Brown, a 4-star wide receiver out of Nashville, Tennessee. I had an opportunity to catch up with him at the Southern Express 7-on-7 tournament that I went to. Alabama's head coach Nick Saban compared him to Devontae Smith. So he's a kid that may look at Alabama even more now that they have a commitment from Ty Simpson. Cedric Miller is another wide receiver to also pay attention to. So it is definitely a lot of different athletes that you can pay attention to now that the Crimson Tide have their quarterback commit here in this 2022 recruiting class. And I think that's going to help Bill O'Brien on the recruiting trail.
He's Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the scouting and recruiting analyst, the legend, the boots on the ground here for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, talking one Ty Simpson, the 5-star quarterback from the state of Tennessee who has given his verbal commitment to the Crimson Tide for the 2022 class. Justin, happy to have you here. Appreciate you coming on to talk about Simpson, but talk about Alabama moving forward in this 2022 class, and also one Bill O'Brien. You stay safe out there, man. Be good.
Do the same, Stephen.
Always fun to talk to Justin Smith, breaking down Alabama Crimson Tide recruiting. Bill O'Brien doing his thing. He gets in a tight end and Elijah Brown, and then he also comes back and he gets a 5-star quarterback in Ty Simpson. This is a big deal. Coach O'Brien trying to show the world that he can recruit and that he was the right move for Alabama in replacing one Steve Sarkisian. We take another break right now, but when we come back, we dive into the phone lines once again, but take your calls, your thoughts, your tweets, your texts, your chats, your conversations. We have a dialogue with you, the fans, after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
And we are back in here, folks, from the break on the number one forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, TGIF edition of the show. We are reliving 2nd and 26, among other things. And before we get back into the phone lines to take your calls, call statement brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang. Got to remind you of mybookie.ag. That is mybookie.ag, sponsor to TDA. So you feeling fortunate, you feeling lucky, you feel like you got the skills to pay the bills and wagering on these Crimson Tide football games, you check out our guys at mybookie.ag. You make the right play and sign up today. And when you do sign up, you use the promo code TDAlabama to get your deposit matched halfway, all the way up to $1,000. You can't beat it, cannot beat it. You go to mybookie.ag. That's mybookie.ag. Use the promo code TD Alabama and get yourself in the game right now. But we go to the phone lines right now, 205-448-1358. The number to call in to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And we take a call from my man, Spencer Reveley. Spencer, what's going on, man?
Stephen M., how you doing tonight, sir?
Doing fantastic. And yourself?
Just fine, thank you. Hey, I've got a great topic for you for all-season show, but I'm going to follow that here in a minute because I know we got a lot of people in the queue. I want to do my breakdown of film study on the quarterbacks this year. We got Bryce, Jalen, and Paul, and just looking at their high school film only, just studying it. To me, Jalen is the best of the three, but he's got to have time to go through the process. He has to have time to learn the college system, the classes, the whole 9 years. So I'm going to give him a 10% chance of starting. Bryce, looking at his college film, his high school film, he is an outstanding player. His touch on the ball is immaculate. The only problem I saw in him in high school was when he went against a tall defensive line, he always had to roll out. He could not see over the line, so he was constantly running to get his throwing lanes. So I'm going to give him a 40% chance of starting. Paul, watching his film, everybody they played he had a tall offensive line. He played against mostly tall defensive lines, and he made quick reads because he could see over them, and he could see what was going on, so he made automatic throws without rolling out. So I'm going to give him a 50% chance of starting. What do you think, sir?
Looks like we got ourselves a close thing here between Bryce and Paul here, judging from your analysis there, Spencer. You giving Paul 50% and Bryce 40%. So looks like from your end, spring football, let's go, baby.
Yes, sir. I agree with you, sir. Next Monday, I'll call in and give you a good topic for your off-season show, sir.
Appreciate the call there coming from Spencer. A little bit of analysis from our own Spencer Reveley in terms of Alabama's 3 quarterbacks. We take another call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
What's up, man?
Uncle Charles, what's happening with you?
Man, what's going on, man? I love the show, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Doing great, man. The better question is, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing good, man. You know, God bless me another day, and that's all I can ask for. But I'm going to go ahead and break this thing down real quick. We're talking about the greatest games of Alabama's history. That tipping has to be the best, the greatest of all time, because we was losing that game. We get beat all up and down the field, and we snatched the jaws of defeat out of Auburn. That was one of the greatest. Devontae Smith, that touchdown in the second half, that was one of the greatest games. What I can tell you is, I want to communicate to the rest of the SEC, especially Georgia. Oh man, we was playing them in the national championship. Oh, they was handling us, couldn't make adjustments, and they thought they had the victory. Well, we snatched the jaws of the feet out of Georgia's mouth. Oh, I feel so sorry for the Georgia Bulldogs, man. They went home crying with the little pit bull stuffed animals in the car, and then they went home where they mostly in Georgia, everybody on the dog. Well, they get in the house, and the dog got his paw over his eye because he don't see in the game, too. And he already know what don't happen, so don't go messing with it. This is failure to communicate. I want to tell the SEC, we the greatest of all time. We want to tell the national scope, we're the greatest of all time. Now, when you want to talk about communication and people failing to communicate, I got a white gentleman next door. He's one of my neighbors, good friend of mine. His name's Freddie. And I said, Freddie, I'm knocking on the door. I said, Freddie, don't go out there to the garbage can out there. There's a family of raccoons out there, and they get food out the garbage can. He said, oh, God, I can't just let my garbage can out. I said, look, Freddie, don't go out there. I'll tell you what I saw. He said, what did you see? I said, I seen the daddy raccoon getting food to mama raccoon, and she was getting it to the baby. He said, what they was getting? I said, man, I seen some sweet cinnamon rolls. I seen them getting some mashed potatoes and a sweet potato pie. And I'm like, after seeing that, I don't want no sweet potato pie no more. 6 hours later, police, ambulances out there. Well, Freddie went out there, and them raccoons don't beat the brakes off of them out there. Yeah, whooped him real good. So I went on into the hospital not too long ago. I said, Freddie, did not tell you not to go out there and mess with them raccoons. He said, you did tell me. Oh, you told me. I said, what that mean? It means failure to communicate. And that's my call, baby.
Gotta appreciate Uncle Charles. Gotta appreciate it. The call of the year. Call of the year right there. Freddie and them raccoons, man. Freddie gotta be more careful, bro. Freddie gotta be more careful. We appreciate Uncle Charles there for that call, man. Freddie gotta be more careful with them raccoons, buddy. We take our next call of the evening. You're live on the show. What's going on?
How you doing, Stephen? This is Mike from Kentucky, brother.
Mike, what's happening with you, man?
Oh, man, I'm just hanging out, fixing to enjoy the weekend. It's going to rain all weekend, but that ain't going to slow me down now.
Absolutely, man. You can't afford to let that rain slow you down, brother. But what's on your mind right now?
Well, we're talking about the quarterback situation coming into this year.
Sure. Let's do it. Sure.
Man, I think this is Bryce Young's year to shine. I mean, last year he didn't get no spring reps. The kid is lights out on film. I think he's everything as advertised, brother. I think Bryce Young is going to bring us another championship next year. The only concern I have this year, and it's really not a concern, but I'd like to see one of the guys step up on the D-line as an alpha dog. Like, we need a Deron Payne in there this year, somebody that can, destroy, control two gaps.
I think Tim Smith can be that guy, Mike. I really do. I think Tim Smith can be that guy. When he was out there in the time that he was blowing plays up. So I would like to see Smith, Big 50, take that step and do that.
Well, I'm glad to hear that because to me that's the only thing we're lacking. I mean, that's the only thing I didn't really, see coming in this year. I think we're dead solid everywhere else. Running back's going to be unbelievable this year. Who do you think's going to start at running back?
That's a good question. I think Brian Robinson starts at running back, but I think right behind him, Jace McClellan did so much as a freshman in the time he was out there. I think Jace will be number 2. But then I kind of want to see, how does Trey Sanders come back from the car accident? That plays a huge role. Because if Trey comes back fierce, he can throw a huge monkey wrench in his plan. So I want to see, how does Trey return from the car accident?
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. I wish him well. I hope he can have an injury-free season because the kid is a freakish talent for sure. I'll tell you, don't sleep on Little Rob. I remember him 2 years ago. He opted out last season, but that kid hits the hole, bro, and that's what I like in a running back. He hits the hole so quick.
Keelan's fast. K-Rob is fast. Yeah. K-Rob is fast.
That boy, he really hits the hole. Well, I'm going to let you go, Stephen, man. Good getting up with you again, brother. Take care. Roll dadgum Tide.
Absolutely. Mike from Kentucky calling in here. Got some thoughts on the quarterback situation, thoughts at running back. Keegan's fast. Keegan is a speed demon. Now, he's bulked up the body now, so now he looks more like Trent Richardson, but I really want to see, how does Trey Sanders come back from the injuries he suffered there in the car accident? But before we take our next break, everybody's talking mock draft right now. Mel Kiper's got his mock draft 2.0 out. Todd McShay's got mock drafts. Everybody's got mock drafts out. So I figured it's time for me to throw on my NFL draft hat in terms of Alabama football. Bama players going in the first round. So check this out. This is Steven's mock draft 1.0 as John is getting us ready. So John Ivory, check me out here. So at number 3 overall, the number 3 overall pick, the first guy to come off the board for Alabama at number 3 overall, give me Devontae Smith to the Miami Dolphins. I know there's a lot of conversation about between he and Jamar Chase of LSU. I think if you're Miami, you got the right coach in Brian Flores. You drafted the right quarterback in Tua Tagovailoa. He's putting in so much work in the offseason to be better. You went out there and got Charlie Fry, a coach that Tua is very familiar with. going back to his days in the Elite 11, you build on that commitment by getting Tua a wide receiver. And what better receiver than one that he had the heroic 2nd and 26 play with, and that being one, Devontae Smith. So I feel like Miami will continue that commitment to Tua by drafting Smitty, number 3 overall in the first round. Smitty, the first guy off the board. Going on down here to the number 6 overall pick, and that belongs to the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is where Jalen Waddle comes off the board. Now, he can go off the board anywhere in the first round, whether it's the top 10, middle of the first round, bottom order of the first round. But I look at, with the Eagles releasing Deshaun Jackson, the one thing Philadelphia has lacked is having those instant offense wide receivers that can take the top off the defense and score from any area on the field. And much like Tua could use Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts can use Jalen Waddle. Hurts very familiar with Waddle, both guys from the state of Texas, and you give Jalen Hurts a Jalen Waddle, he can take the top off the defense, he can give Philly that instant offense that it needs there on that side of the football. Number 6, Jalen Waddle coming off the board, in my opinion, to Philly. Moving on down 2 spots later to number 8, this is where I see Mac Jones coming off. The Carolina Panthers to Matt Rule and Joe Brady. Now, there have been talks about, does a team trade up to get Mac Jones? Do the Chicago Bears trade up? Do the New England Patriots trade up from 15 and they get into the top 10 to get Mac? It could happen, but I think the best fit, number 8, to Carolina. He's worked with Coach Rule at the Senior Bowl. Mac Jones and Coach Rule have a great rapport with each other. We saw 1 year with Joe Brady, the success that Joe Burrow had as the quarterback of LSU. He went from being a 6th-round pick after the 2018 season to, after the 2019 season, Burrow a 1st-round pick and the number 1 overall pick of the 2020 draft to those Cincinnati Bengals. You put, a Mac Jones and a Joe Brady system in Carolina could really, really be something special there, especially when you've got Christian McCaffrey at running back and you've got a bunch of young receivers that can really, truly do work. Mac Jones, number 8 there to Carolina. Moving on down to number 10 overall in the first round, Patrick Surtain II to the Dallas Cowboys. I really like him right here because the weakness of Dallas has always been its secondary, especially in the last few years. They've gotten better on the defensive line. They've gotten better at linebacker with Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. But the one question has always been that defensive secondary that's always kind of plagued Dallas. Now, the Cowboys got Trayvon Diggs last year in the draft, and Diggs was a quality revelation for this team. Diggs has talked about it. I want to play with my little brother. I want to play with Patrick Surtain. So here's a move here for Jerry Jones, number 10 overall. Get Surtain to Dallas. He only gave up 2 touchdown receptions a season ago in his final year with the Crimson Tide. As we move on down here, give me Christian Barmore with the 22nd overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. Tennessee needs edge rushers. It needs pass rushers. This is the one thing the Titans are lacking defensively. Linebackers are pretty set. Defensive secondary, pretty good. They lack a pass rush. Tennessee lacks those edge guys that can affect the quarterback. And when you're playing in an AFC South that can be difficult at times, you need to have that guy to hit the quarterback. Christian Barmore this past season was huge for Alabama, getting after the opposing team signal caller. And then last but not least to me, at the number 24 overall pick, give me Najee Harris right now. The Miami Dolphins could take Najee Harris at 18, but I'm looking at Pittsburgh to take Najee at the 24th overall pick. Why? Pittsburgh could look at quarterback first and get somebody to replace Ben Roethlisberger, but at the same time, it also needs a run game. Pittsburgh has not been able to run the football the way it needs to have a balanced offense, take some pressure off the passing game. So getting a Najee Harris in Pittsburgh would be really, really beneficial here for the terrible towel for Steel Curtain those Steelers. But that would be my mock draft 1.0 as of right now. 4 guys going in the top 10 with Smitty, Woodall, Mac Jones, and Patrick Surtain. 6 guys going overall in the first round. Depending on how Landon Dickerson does at his pro day, Dickerson could jump in this first round. Now, he's been working on getting that knee good, getting that knee right. He's showing a lot of athleticism and working with Dr. Matt Ray, depending on how he does and how Alex Leatherwood does at their respective pro days. Both of those two, at least one of those two, could jump back in to the first round. But right now, I see 6 guys in my mock draft 1.0 going in the first round here for the Crimson Tide. 4 guys going in the top 10, Smitty at number 3, Woodall at number 6, Mac Jones at number 8, and Patrick Surtain at number 10. But before we take our next break here, got a couple of super chats to get to. Spencer Reveley hitting us with that $5 donation. Appreciating that love from Spencer and our own Willie351, who apparently has an obsession with 7s, but he's a guy that loves the number of completion. I can't get mad at him. That 777 coming in from our own Willie351. We take our break right now, but upon our return, we dive into another conversation that involves Malachi Moore. We had Justin Woodall on the show last week talk about, Malachi and the versatility that he has. What could Alabama's defense look like if the Tide were to position Malachi as an outside corner? We'll talk about that after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, I've officially removed my draft hat now, back to being just Alabama football. Stephen M. Smith, but talking Crimson Tide with you, the Alabama football faithful, on the number 1 forum for Crimson Tide football news. In my own words, TGIF edition of the show, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. And before we get into final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That is TDAwear.com. So check this out here. As always, you guys are asking me, why do you keep reminding us of this? Well, for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Tide's national championship, check out our championship collection merch. You grab you 18 of them things, folk, t-shirt, hoodie, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs which feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head on over to TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. Do that right now and go over to Championship Collections tab and get you that merch. Copy those t-shirts today. Helping out, the University of Alabama, head coach Nick Saban, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. But we had Justin Woodall, former Alabama safety, played from 2006 to 09, big leader on that 09 national championship team, on the show last week, and he talked about, Malachi Moore and the versatility, the diversity that he has. He played outside corner at Hewitt-Trussville High School. He played safety in high school. Of course, he played star this past season as a freshman for the Crimson Tide. And having that discussion with Woodall, it got me thinking here. The versatility of Malachi, and I've talked about him, could Alabama possibly transition him to safety, but an even better question would be, would Alabama be open to moving Malachi to outside corner? And the reason why I say this is George Teague, another former Bama legend, stated this on Malachi. He said that the young man's aggressive. He plays with great leverage. He's got great technique. He's got great coverage skills. He plays with a lot in the tank. You know, he's an up-and-comer. He's going to be a huge guy on the rise. These are all things that George Teague said about one Malachi Moore. In the season ago, Moore 44 tackles, 4 of those for loss. He had 3 interceptions, a team high, 6 pass breakups, 2 quarterback hurries, filled out the stat sheet very well. Freshman All-American, freshman All-SEC, second team All-SEC selection. So, to me, would Alabama be open to maybe moving him to outside corner? And the reason why is this would create big opportunity for Brian Branch and DeMarco Hellams. Brian Branch, first and foremost, had a huge season this past year himself. Branch a season ago had 2 interceptions to his own credit, 7 pass breakups also. One of his interceptions came with he and Malachi on the field together. And if you watched Bama football in the 2020 campaign, when Saban had Malachi and Branch together on the field, a lot of big plays happen. They bounce well off each other. They play well off each other. There's an energy when both of those two are on the field together at the same time. Going back to the Iron Bowl, Malachi Moore picked off Bo Nix, and then Brian Branch picked off Bo Nix on the screen pass that Auburn was trying to have happen there. Malachi blew the screen play up. Bo Nix threw the ball right toward Brian Branch. He picked the ball off and almost scored on the play. And then you can look back at the Arkansas game where the Razorbacks tried to do a trick play. Branch, showing the range that he's got, intercepted the ball near the red zone. And while some people would compare Branch's skill set to that of Eddie Jackson, I look at him as more of a ha-ha Clinton Dix type. He plays with a lot of that top range, that top end range where he really high points that ball and attacks the lower third of the field with his eyes, with his elevation, with his ability to leap up and grab the football. So to me, I see a bit more ha-ha Clinton Dix than Eddie Jackson, but both players were great players. It is what it is. But the purpose of this being is that if you were to put Malachi on the edge as an island corner, first and foremost, he would have that ability to play faster, because at star, you're doing a lot more thinking, you're doing a lot more concepts, you have a bit more responsibility on you in that star role. At playing corner, you don't have as many responsibilities, and you can play outside, and you can play free, you can jam, you can be physical, you can bump and run, you can run with the guy, and you can sort of position the receiver's body away from the ball and having your body in front of that guy, taking away that angle and blocking him away from the football, playing that sort of technique that Coach Saban teaches the defensive backs to do. So to me, if you were to have Malachi as an island corner, you could put Brian Branch at nickel, or you could put Brian Branch at free safety, and that would be really intriguing there, because I think Branch is going to start at Branch has got to start in the secondary. He's got to start at either a nickel role or a safety spot. So it would open up Brian Branch. The second guy it would open up would be DeMarco Hellams. DeMarco has to start next season. I remember we had Joshua McMillan on Wednesday's show, and he mentioned Hellams as a guy that's going to be a beast in the upcoming season. As a junior, Hellams this past season, he had a couple of games where he snapped. I mean, he was the team leader in tackles against LSU. He shared the team lead in tackles with Will Anderson against Notre Dame in the Rose Bowl. He was all over the field. 12 tackles, a game high, a a team high and a career high and a season high for Helms. He had a sack of Ian Book, had a tackle for loss in the game. Crimson Tide earning the 31-19 victory there over the Irish at Arlington, Texas. But when I look at Helms, when you go back and you watch his highlight tape to end the season, he looked like Landon Collins mixed with Mark Barron. His ability to hit, but not just put the clap on you, finish the play. His ability to hit and finish the play. Like, DeMarco was out there taking people's life from him, but finishing, just driving guys into the ground. And this is another guy that has to start for the Crimson Tide in the upcoming season, whether he starts at dime or whether he starts at safety. Now, I would like to see Saban do this for DeMarco. Flip Jordan Battle and DeMarco. Have Jordan play free safety. I feel like Jordan can read the lower third of the field. He can play the lower third. He can break on the ball. He can roam the middle. He's the ball hawk. He's a film junkie. I would have Battle at free safety, and I would just have DeMarco at strong. Have him come down, lay the hit, lay the wood, make the tackle, be in run support, take on a lot of these bigger tight ends and wide receivers. I would put DeMarco at strong safety and Jordan Battle at free, but that's in the event that if you wanted to start DeMarco as a safety. I mean, he and Brian Branch have to see the field. He and Brian Branch have to be starters here in the upcoming season. And I feel like the best way for Saban to utilize all of those guys to get the ball on the field is if you were to take Malachi Moore, move him to the outside corner, trust him one-on-one on the island, let him use those instincts, let him use that speed, let him use that aggressiveness and the style that he plays with. But that's just my thoughts right there on Malachi. What do you think, Tide fans? Leave your thoughts there in the comment section. Should Alabama think about moving Malachi Moore to outside corner to get more Brian Branch and DeMarco Helms on the field as starters here for the upcoming season? But as always, Tide Nation, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your favorite program, the Crimson Tide. You can do this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. You download the app from the iPhone App Store. If you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store, if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered here. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Got you covered right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will be back on Monday, continuing the conversation that is Tide football. We got a few super chats to get to right now. We got Randy Harris, that $5 donation. We got Gucci Tide, a $5 donation. We got Spencer Reveley, a $20 donation. We got Randy Harris, a $5 donation. And with that being said, the Super Chat Daily Goal has been reached. And I think did we do this without Jimmy Clay? We did it without Jimmy Clay. Oh my goodness. Give yourselves a hand, Bama Nation. Reached the Super Chat goal, man. Y'all, way to go. Way to go, Bama fans. Way to go. Even without Jimmy Clay, man, you guys got it done. Appreciating the love, appreciating the support from every single last one of you guys. You've been awesome calling in, chatting in, donating in, making this your show for all things Alabama football. Tide Nation, as always, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be in the description. If you want the print edition of TDA Magazine coming soon, you can get that print edition by going to touchdownalabama.com. You click join. You become a subscriber today. Go to touchdownalabama.com, click join, become a subscriber. That way you can get that print edition of the magazine. Also, you can cop that 4-finger bling necklace, 4-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of weownthefourthquarter.com. That link in the description too. Until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands, children, weekend in. Still do those things legitimately, smartly, right thing to not be bored. Get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. Protect yourself, protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, spin in my own words.